Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Space Moth Lunar Edition, a remastered version of a modern bullet hell classic. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer 1CC Games, Space Moth Lunar Edition released in mid-November 2021 for all current platforms. So this title is a remaster of their previous title, Space Moth DX. Having gone back to play that one for comparison's sakes, that title is one that definitely stands up, but Lunar Edition stands above it thanks to the addition of several new mechanics. That said, if you're a fan of bullet hell shoot 'em ups along the lines of cave shooters, then this is one that I definitely think you should check out. So that said, what kind of gameplay do we have here? Diving into the main menu, we have a couple options that we want to take a quick look at. So the game itself comes with a practice mode, so you can potentially play certain sections of stage or just a boss, pretty standard for your typical bullet hells. There's also challenges. These are basically your achievements that you can complete throughout the course of the gameplay, and leaderboards, which is very important for a game that's very scoring system oriented. One drawback, at least on the Nintendo Switch version, is that the leaderboards are local only, so that's definitely a hit to the title itself. Starting the game, we're taken to this character select where you have Space Moth and Hawk DX. So the primary difference between these two ships is their rapid shot. So for Space Moth, it's a spread. For the Hawk, it's more of a narrow straight shot. There are other differences as well, but that's where we'll start. Selecting Space Moth, we're taken into the first stage, which is this beautiful Sakura Petal tree, and right off the bat we're assaulted by enemies in this bullet hell shoot 'em up. So the game doesn't pull its punches right from the beginning, and it does have some rather interesting systems that we'll get to here in just a moment. So there you have three primary forms of attack that we can use against the enemies. So we have our rapid shot, which, as I mentioned for the Space Moth, is this wonderful spread, but then we also have our laser. So typical bullet hell conventions apply here. The laser does allow focus movement or slower movement when being fired. That's important to note. But there are also some other rather important mechanics here at play. In addition to those two abilities, we also have a bomb that does hit the entire screen, deals a fair bit of damage, and clears enemy shots. So very important for keeping yourself alive. But in addition to those two mechanics, there's two actual rather important mechanics, one of which is an addition to the Lunar Edition of Space Moth. So the rapid shot basically acts as what the game refers to as a soul drain. So as you use it on the larger version enemies, it will make them more aggressive. So they'll basically have more difficult bullet patterns. Normally their normal bullet patterns will just have blue shots, but then they start adding pink bullets to their arsenal. However, if you destroy an enemy that's been soul drained, easy way to go and tell if the enemy's been soul drained, there's an audio cue as well as the enemy turning basically black in some way. Kind of like this boss just did. Although the boss doesn't soul drain, that's just it like entering its final form. Or stage rather. But if you destroy a soul drained enemy with the laser, then you'll get bonus points, and those bonus points can get to rather large sums, especially if you're increasing our multiplier, which we did not do in the first stage, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. So after the result stage, we're taken to the second stage. So another key mechanic that is new to this version of the game is the skull mode. So as we use our rapid, we're expanding what's referred to as the soul circle, that circle around the ship, and once it reaches its largest size, it turns rainbow. If we happen to activate that, all the shots that enter that circle, well, the circle will start to shrink, but all the shots that enter that circle will turn into skulls, which are worth a fair bit of points. In addition to that, it also increases our multiplier, which is displayed in the top left. And the multiplier will not drop unless you lose a life or you use a bomb. A bomb, as we can see right here, will drop the multiplier very, very substantially. So it basically took it from almost a multiplier of 5 down to base multiplier for using it. So if you're looking for a high score run, you want to avoid using bombs. There's also another really fun feature that I do really like about this game, and throughout the course of the gameplay, you'll have these little, well, oftentimes if you haven't used or unlocked the correct criteria for them, they'll appear as just like sparkling stars, but there are 6 hidden items or objects throughout the course of the game that we need to, or in each stage rather, that we need to unlock. So those have different requirements for unlocking. In some cases, it's like setting off a bomb when that's on screen. In other cases, it's soul draining and destroying an enemy that's been soul drained. Let's actually practice that a little bit. So we soul drained this enemy here. When it's destroyed, it leaves an extra 2,500 points in bonus points. There was one enemy I soul drained that I did not take out, and it was firing crazy amounts of red bullets all around us that were significantly harder to dodge. So that presents an interesting dilemma as far as survivability in this game. So if you want to survive and encounter the least amount of enemy bullets, you want to keep... Oh, here's an example of an item. That one became a nice little mushroom. Bam. It does also increase the size of your skull circle, which is nice. But anyway, back to what I was saying. If you want to survive with the easiest patterns possible, then you will just use solely the laser, which is tricky because it's then you're using nothing but your focus movement. However, if you use the normal shot, which is admittedly more effective against base enemies, then you'll be making things more difficult for yourself when you encounter larger enemies. So it's kind of an interesting like risk-reward system, to be honest. That said, I do consider the bullet hell patterns in this game to be really like top-notch. So they revisited the bullet hell patterns that they had from the original game with some of the tools that they had developed for their previous title, Star Hunter DX, and really the results I feel are excellent. Like although like crazy, like difficult to survive, what's like on display here is just beautiful bullet hell mastery at its best. So one more thing I hadn't really discussed in the settings, the game does have some really nice visual settings, including, and this is most important on the Nintendo Switch, the ability to play the game in Tate mode. So that's basically in like a vertical orientation. Of all the platforms it's available on, unless you have a nice setup for your PC, then being able to use the Switch in Tate is like one of its greatest strengths, I feel. And there's also the ability to add some scanline and other filters to your video if that's the kind of thing that you like as well. There's also some nice borders, but this one that we've got on right now I feel is like the one that best frames this beautiful, colorful shoot 'em up, and that's one of the things that I really do enjoy about that. But before we get to that, there is Space Moth Lunar Edition served up for your enjoyment. So as far as the minus flavors are concerned, I'm a little disappointed that this title doesn't have online leaderboards, as the scoring system really is what I feel is the bread and butter for this type of shoot 'em up. and the one that's as well designed as this one is, it's a bit disappointing that we don't have that. Oh, so here's an interesting challenge you can give yourself for this stage. So there is an achievement for getting through this section, this stage, without destroying any of these flowers. So it's possible, but so their pattern is definitely dodgeable. But at the same time, it also would get to the point where could be a bit crazy. Then there's also a couple things that I would like to go and see in the game, so I will put these under the minus flavor, although at least one of them isn't that big of a deal. So each stage has those items to collect, and they're rather fun little pieces of pixel art. It would have been really nice if there was a little gallery that you could see those particular pieces of art or items that you had collected for each of the various stages. A, so you knew which ones you were missing, and B, just so you could, enjoy the little bit of art that the game has presented there. And then there is no additional difficulty settings in the game. There's just the one mode, which is not that big of an issue, but for somebody playing the game and trying to record commentary at the same time, it just would have been nice to have a slightly easier mode, so it could have, so one can focus a bit better on the commentary. As far as the plus flavors are concerned, I love the graphics that the game has. Not so much this Toad boss, but the colors that are presented are bright and vibrant. It's really easy to go and spot yourself from all the enemy shots. In addition, the sprite work that's presented here really is top notch. Beautiful backgrounds, just those fun little items. So really, that's one of the big things. And then the scoring system, using the rapid shot to build up that skull circle, then activating it, building your multiplier, switching back and forth between the rapid shot and the laser shot to get the bonus points for soul draining enemies. There's a lot of scoring here, and it's kind of mind-boggling, but at the same time it'd be really satisfying to master it and challenge yourself to set higher and higher scores. So that really is what I feel helps make Space Moth a title that I would recommend. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me this week, and I hope you have a wonderful week next week, and we'll see you next time.